Eric, we looked at the buy box kind of for each, looking at, again, measuring out your costs and all that kind of good stuff. How does each fulfillment method affect the buy box?
So FBA will trump FBM if they're at the same price. And then there's Seller Fulfilled Prime. I have seen Seller Fulfilled Prime, even though you have a 2-day shipping with the Seller Fulfilled Prime and it seems to equal FBA, I have not seen ever an SFP, which is Seller Fulfilled Prime. I've never seen that offer beat an FBA if they're at the same price. So Amazon is always going to outweigh FBA versus FBM or Seller Fulfilled Prime. So if you are in a competitive niche, if you are a 3P and you're selling and maybe you on an ASIN that's shared by several other people, maybe 10 people, and you're all buying the same product from some other brand, you will want to be FBA. That'll give you the best opportunity. If everybody's FBM, you can weigh that decision to stay FBM. You'll get your turn, but if you go FBA, you should beat everybody out. I think I'm making sense, Pete. Am I making sense here? I feel like I'm not making sense. Okay.
I'm getting it.
I made it more complicated than it needed to be.
The simple answer is that FBA people are always going to win the buy box over FBM
if the prices are the same. I have seen FBM beat out FBA if the price is low enough. I've seen FBM beat out vendor, from a vendor, if that FBM price is lower than the vendor cost, which is what vendor is buying the product from. So if vendor is buying the product from the whatever brand for $20, FBM comes in at 19. Vendor's not stupid. They'll be like, "It's yours, man. You have it. You take the loss." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it gets a little complicated.
So that's something else you got to factor into that cost analysis. Is kind of like, what's your price point? And obviously that's something you factor in right away to see how much you're making. But another side of that price point is, are you going to win the buy box most of the time? What's out there already? What's already winning the buy box? Can you compete with not only ship time now, but also looking at price and seeing, again, just where you land?
The other thing I should mention too, so like if you're a business and you are doing a lot of wholesale, just selling to different partners and stuff like that, and if you don't have really good contracts, and I think maybe we've talked about this in the past, but if you don't have good contracts, Amazon says that you are to have the lowest price on the internet. And so if you sell it to somebody that goes and posts it on Walmart or Home Depot or something, you could lose the buy box. So if they lower their price below let's say you're $19.99 on Amazon and they lower the price to $16.99 on Walmart, you'll lose the buy box. Now, the reason why I bring this up is if you go FBA and that's going to happen, you could incur long-term storage fees because your velocity is not going to be there. So that is another decision to kind of weigh in when deciding to go FBA or FBM. So if you know that you got some issues with your partners and they're not going to follow your map or your agreement, I would stick with FBM, and then hopefully you just churn enough product at some point, or when they maybe run out of inventory, then your price comes back up. You can make some quick sales, but at least like you said, Pete, you're not incurring more cost to that item.